Look how sweet my husband is. Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Heather and as always I am reading with a vengeance, and as always I hope you are as well. Today I am going to talk to you about the books that I plan on reading for April. I don't usually have a set TBR, but I have plans. So I thought I would share those plans with you. Why not? So the first book that I know I need to read for April is for my personal book club that I belong to. And the book that we selected for April is The Farm. I have that. Luckily, I was able to find it at the library, and so I have it here. This is The Farm. I haven't started it yet, obviously, but I thought the premise sounded really good. Oh, and if I didn't mention it, it's by Joanne Ramos. Ramos? Yeah. And this one, I believe it's somewhat dystopian. The tagline is, "Life is a lucrative business as long as you play by the rules." So I'll just read you a little bit from the blurb. Nestled in New York's Hudson Valley is a luxury retreat boasting every amenity, organic meals, personal fitness trainers, daily massages, and all of it for free. In fact, you're paid big money to stay here, more than you've ever dreamed of. The catch? For 9 months, you cannot leave the grounds, your movements are monitored, and you are cut off from your former life while you dedicate yourself to the task of producing the perfect baby for someone else. Jane, an immigrant from the Philippines, is in desperate search of a better future when she commits to being a host at Golden Oaks, or The Farm. Now, pregnant, fragile, consumed with worry for her family, Jane is determined to reconnect with her life outside. Yet she cannot leave the farm or she will lose the life-changing fee she'll receive on the delivery of her child. So that's what I'm reading for book club. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I am participating in the Reading My Bookshelf Challenge that is hosted by Chantel at Chantel Reads All Day. It's a year-long challenge and each month has a prompt, and I have done obviously January, February, and March. I did January, February, and March all in March because I hadn't heard about the challenge until March and I wanted to participate. I'll try to link her video where she talks about the challenge up here, and I'll link her channel below. The prompt for April is choose a book with your initials in the title. So my initials are H, I guess I have to think about it, HMC. And it was funny because as I'm looking for books with my initials in the title, I came up with a lot of books with Christmas in the title, and I just didn't want to read a Christmas book in April. So it was a little bit more difficult, but I got lucky because I found a book actually on my shelf that's been on my shelf for a really long time. And it's by an author I'm familiar with, who I've talked about in my Celebrating Women video. And that is Catch Me by Lisa Gardner. And this I found, I believe, in a secondhand store for maybe $2. I really enjoy Lisa Gardner's books, and this book's been around for a minute, published in 2012. So this is a Dee Warren book. That's a series that she has with Detective Dee Warren in it. I've read some Dee Warren books and I really enjoy them. I don't think you have to read them in order. I hope not. 4 days, someone is going to kill me. Detective Dee Warren is hard to surprise, but a lone woman outside Dee's latest crime scene shocks her with a remarkable proposition. Charlene Rosalind Carter Grant believes that she will be murdered in 4 days, and she wants Boston's top detective to handle her death investigation. Okay, so I'll be reading that in April. As I've also mentioned in one of my previous videos, I am trying to read some books from the long list for the Women's Prize for Fiction. I don't want to read every book in the long list, but there are a few that I have picked out that interest me specifically. Unfortunately, all those books aren't available at the library, and I'm not necessarily on a book buying ban per se, but I am trying to read through my bookshelf without adding to it. So I've been trying to get all my books from the library if possible. So the ones I've gotten from the library so far, I've already read the final revival of Opal and Nev. Fantastic book. I believe I have already posted a review. I'll link that video up above of that book. Highly recommend that book. I read The Sentence, which I read in March, and that's in my March wrap up. Also a really good book. So the ones I was able to find at the library, I am currently reading, or I've already started, Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason, and I have Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. Both are chunkers. Sorrow and Bliss, this wasn't originally one that I wanted to read from the long list, but since it was available, I snatched it up. I will definitely read the short list. And the short list comes out, I believe, April 29th. And I'm really hoping that some of the books that I will have read by then is on that short list. But if not, what am I going to do? It says, Martha Friel just turned 40. Once she worked at Vogue and planned to write a novel. Now she creates internet content. She used to live in Paris. Now she lives in a gated community in Oxford. The only person she knows without a PhD, a baby, or both, in a house she hates but cannot bear to leave. But she must leave now that her husband Patrick, the kind of man who cooks, throws her birthday parties, loves her, and has only ever wanted her to be happy, has just moved out. Because there's something wrong with Martha and has been for a long time. When she was 17, a little bomb went off in her brain and she was never the same. But countless doctors, endless therapy, and every kind of drug later, she still doesn't know what's wrong. Why she spends days unable to get out of bed and alienates both strangers and her loved ones with casually cruel remarks. She has nowhere to go except her childhood home, a bohemian townhouse in a romantic part of London, to live with her mother, a minorly important sculptor, and her father, a famous poet. She must try to survive without the fiercely loving and foul-mouthed sister who made all the chaos bearable back then and is now too busy or too fed up to deal with her. But maybe by starting over, Martha will get to write a better ending for herself and find out she's not quite finished after all. So definitely it sounds like it's dealing with some darker issues like depression, anxiety, but it also sounds like there's a little bit of hope involved too. I have high hopes for it. And then Great Circle. I believe this one I did have on my list of ones that I wanted to read from the long list. After being rescued as infants from a sinking ocean liner in 1914, Marion and Jamie Graves are raised by their dissolute uncle in Missoula, Montana. There, after encountering a pair of barnstorming pilots passing through town in beat-up biplanes, Marion commences her lifelong love affair with flight. At 14, she drops out of school and finds an unexpected and dangerous patron in the wealthy bootlegger Barclay McQueen, who provides a plane and subsidizes her lessons, an arrangement that will haunt her for the rest of her life, even as it allows her to fulfill her destiny, circumnavigating the globe by flying over the North and South Poles. A century later, Hadley Baxter is cast to play Marion in a film that centers on Marion's disappearance in Antarctica. Vibrant, canny, chafing at the claustrophobia of Hollywood and cult celebrity, Hadley is eager to redefine herself after getting fired from a romantic film franchise in the midst of scandal. Her immersion in the character of Marion unfolds alongside Marion's own story as the two women's destinies and their hunger for self-determination in vastly different places and times intersect in astonishing ways. Epic and emotional, meticulously researched, and gloriously told. Ooh, so not only do I love a good historical fiction, I love dual timelines like that. Yes, I'm pretty sure I had this as one of the ones that I chose from the long list. So I decided to pick some more books from my personal bookshelf, but I wanted help in choosing those. So I looked up TBR games, tried to look up other booktubers who have their own TBR games. And one of the ones I found online was just random. I think it's called the TBR Machine. And if you just put thetbrmachine.com, it pops up and you just hit the button and it comes up with different prompts. So I decided to use that. And the person who came up, or who created, I believe, this TBR Machine has a booktube channel, and it is called Penelope the Paperback Cat. I'll link her channel below. So the first prompt that came up when I pressed the button was a book published in 2018. So I went to my list on Goodreads where I have all the books that I have in my personal library shelved, And it turns out I had, I believe, 7 books published in 2018. So the one that I picked is 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. I love this author so much. And I have read, I would say, most of her books. I want to say there's probably 4 or 5 that I haven't read yet, this being one of them. This has been on my TBR forever, and for whatever reason, I just haven't gotten to it yet. I'm pretty sure I got this book at a used bookstore, although it looks in pretty good shape, so who knows. It's got one of those, it looks like a sticker, but it's not. Anyways, this is a well-known book, and they made a TV show, and I don't want to watch the TV show until I read the books. I have to succumb. Jesus, getting old is not for sissies. All right, could 10 days at a health resort really change you forever? 9 people gather at a remote health resort, some to lose weight, some to reboot their lives, some for reasons they can't even admit to themselves. They know these 10 days might involve some real work, but none of them can imagine just how challenging the next 10 days will be. Frances Welty arrives nursing a bad back and a broken heart. She's intrigued by her fellow guests, who don't seem to need a health resort at all, but the most intriguing person is the resort's strange, charismatic owner. Should Frances and the guests put aside their doubts and immerse themselves in everything Tranquillum House has to offer, or should they run while they still can? The next prompt that I decided to go with was read a book with a beautiful cover. That was not difficult. I've been enthralled with this book cover for a while. Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield. Look at this cover. Hello. Oh, hello, beauty. Feel like I got this book at a used bookstore. Oh, yes, absolutely, because I never would have put that mark on there. 3 girls are missing, 1 is returned, a story begins. On a dark midwinter's night in an ancient inn on the River Thames, an extraordinary event takes place. The regulars are telling stories to while away the dark hours when the door bursts open to reveal a grievously wounded stranger. In his arms is the lifeless body of a small child. Hours later, the girl stirs, takes a breath, and returns to life. Is it a miracle? Is it magic? Or can science provide an explanation? These questions have many answers, some of them quite dark indeed. Those who dwell on the riverbank apply all their ingenuity to solving the puzzle of the girl who died and lived again, yet as the days pass, the mystery only deepens. The child herself is mute and unable to answer the essential questions. Who is she? Where did she come from? And to whom does she belong? The next prompt that I decided to go with is a book with yellow on the cover. That also was not difficult. There were 2 that I was thinking of, but the one I went with is The Majesties by Tiffany Tsao. This could also be a beautiful cover. That is just gorgeous. And if I'm honest, it's probably the reason why I took it off the shelf. I'm pretty sure I got this at a little free library. And I thought, wow, who would not want this on their shelf? In this riveting tale about the secrets and betrayals that can accompany exorbitant wealth, 2 sisters from a Chinese-Indonesian family grapple with the past after one of them poisons their entire family. What? Gwendolyn and Estella have always been as close as sisters can be. Growing up in a wealthy, eminent, and sometimes deceitful family, they've relied on each other for support and confidence. But now Gwendolyn is lying in a coma, the sole survivor of Estella's poisoning of their whole clan. As Gwendolyn struggles to regain consciousness, she desperately retraces her memories, trying to uncover the moment that led to this shocking and brutal act. Was it their aunt's mysterious death at sea, Estella's unhappy marriage to a dangerously brutish man, or were the shifting loyalties and unspoken resentments at the heart of their opulent world too much to bear? Can Gwendolyn at last confront the carefully buried mysteries in their family's past and the truth about who she and her sister really are? Woo! From the sunny coast of California to the melting pot of Melbourne's university scene. Oh, lovely. Yes. Ooh, in Paris Fashion Week and Indonesia. Oh my, this sounds great. This reminds me of a book that I read last year. I want to say it was on my favorites of 2021 called Yoke. It's a young adult novel about two Korean American sisters. Fantastic. If you haven't read that one, I highly recommend it. But it's not about that. It's about what I'm going to read in April, and that is the next one. This is looking like a very daunting list. And the final prompt that I decided to go with is read a book from your shelf that is the highest rated. And I went with the highest rated on Goodreads. I'm super happy about this pick because I've been wanting to read it for a long time. I haven't heard a negative comment about it yet. And of course, the highest rated book on my shelf is Know My Name by Chantel Miller. Super excited to read this book. Like I said, I've been wanting to read it for a super long time. I probably don't need to read the back of it, but basically this is a memoir by Chantel Miller of her sexual assault and what happens afterwards. Got this at a secondhand store. It's got another one of those non-removable stickers. I'm coming after you who do this. I'm really not. So those are the books that I definitely want to read in April. And usually I get through a decent amount of regular length novels in a month, and then in between I'll pepper it with shorter stuff. Like I have volume 2 of The Way of the House Husband, volume 2 and 3, which I'm really enjoying. These are graphic novels, manga, super funny. I've talked about it in one of my previous videos. And then I picked this one up just because it's short. And like I said, whenever I see like just short books that I might find interesting, I'll just grab it, so that I like to read shorter books in between the longer one, kind of a palate cleanser. But this one I picked up, it's called The Spindle, Splintered by Alix E. Harrow. A Sleeping Beauty retelling, I'm guessing. Let's see. It's Zinnia Gray's 21st birthday, which is extra special because it's the last birthday she'll ever have. When she was young, an industrial accident left Zinnia with a rare condition. Not much is known about her illness, just that no one has lived past 21. Her best friend, Charm, is intent on making Zinnia's last birthday special with a full Sleeping Beauty experience, complete with a tower and a spinning wheel. But when Zinnia pricks her fingers, something strange and unexpected happens, and she finds herself falling through the worlds with another Sleeping Beauty just as desperate to escape her fate. So that's the last one on my list. They all sound amazing. Are any of these books on your TBR? If not, have you already read them? I'd love to hear what you think about them. Please comment down below. Are you a person that sets TBRs? I'm usually a mood reader, but since I have specific goals, mainly the Women's Prize for Fiction long list and my goal of reading off my personal shelf, I just decided to put together a TBR. But I'd love to hear if you do as well. And if you do, how do you put together your TBR? Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. If you've made it this far, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.